Okay, this brings us to the suitors. Our suitors, as they stayed in the house. Now, keep in mind that our suitors were there for years. It wasn't just like a year, which would have been a little bit of an extended stay if you were one person or two people. That might have been okay. Having all these people in her house, it would have been fine for her to have served them for a short period of time. But that's not what their expectation was. They came to expect food and drink served to them multiple times a day. In a normal setting, if you were going to come and you were going to stay for that length of time, it was kind of like you being folded into the household. So that means that it might have been expected for you to participate in the hunting or the fishing or the gathering of the provisions. Here's another area where the suitors go very wrong in their responsibilities as guests. Further down the line, when Odysseus shows up as a beggar at the gate, they go even further with these very bad manners. And let me remind you that they are given food. They are not hunting for it. They are not fishing. They are not gathering. They are not doing anything to provide for food on the table. So it's all given to them. All this food is given to them. And when Odysseus comes in as a beggar, and so he's asking for some food. And instead of being gracious hosts themselves, they keep the food from him, or they throw it at him, or they make him work for it. It's not a happy picture. So they are failing on two fronts as the guests in this house. They are being very bad guests by not sharing what they have, and they're being very bad hosts. Let's go on to number 2. As the suitors were in here, another thing that they did was they became very abusive to the servants and to the livestock. I mean, they butchered the livestock. If the cow herd or the goat herd or whomever was not moving as fast as they felt they should, or they were not being provided with the best and choicest parts of the animal, they would just go out and kill another one so that they could have the best, because that's what they felt they deserved. So this protection that is offered as the host, they were just being very, very disrespectful. And they were, in fact, doing harm to their host by doing this. Now, I want to give a little bit of credit to the suitors at the very beginning, because they were coming and they were expecting to gain a bride. They wanted Penelope. There were so many of them, but they each brought a gift for Penelope. Now, Penelope did indeed accept all these gifts, which she should have done. But there's kind of a time limit here. It's an unspoken time limit where you come and you offer a gift, and if it is at the end of this unspoken time limit, if the woman that you want to marry you has not accepted your hand as a good guest, you should graciously say thank you for considering me. It's clear I'm not the one that you want, and then you go away. But that's not what they do. Instead, they bring their gifts at the beginning, like they should, but then nothing. They do nothing. They don't go away and come back and bring more gifts. They just basically are squatting in Penelope's house, and they do not continue to offer anything to Penelope other than being a big headache. This really does show an alarming lack of respect, both for Penelope and for Telemachus as the heir apparent, not to mention their memory of Odysseus. Badly done, suitors. Badly done. We talked a bit about opera. And accepting and being gracious about the entertainment that is offered, even if it's not to your liking. Unfortunately, the suitors get tired of the gentle entertainment that Penelope offers, and perhaps this was one of her ploys to get them to kindly go away, but they don't, so they start making their own entertainment. An excellent example of this is further down the line in book 18. You're going to see where there are two beggars that have shown up now at Penelope's household. One of them is, as we know, is Odysseus, and the other one is a man by the name of Iris. Now, Iris is a big man, but he's not terribly strong. But they decide that for their own entertainment, here's what we're going to do. Iris, you are going to fight this other beggar over here, and whichever one of you wins gets to stay. The other one has to leave and doesn't get to eat our food anymore. Emphasis on the our food. It's not their food. Let me just remind you of that. It's not gentlemanly behavior. This is not the sort of behavior that is suitable for guests to show. We just don't do this. Not polite. Anyway, moving on. Okay, we have the last thing. Putting strain on Penelope's resources. After a year, it is clear that they are very much putting a strain on Penelope's resources. Throughout the Odyssey, we hear it repeatedly. We hear how Eurynome, who is Odysseus's old nurse and ultimately the one who recognizes him, she has said, I'm not going to serve these pigs anymore. They need to go. Penelope responds in the book, it is my job to be a good host for these people. But we also hear it from people like Eumaeus, who is the swineherd, and Philodius, who is the cowherd. How the herds are dwindling dangerously low because of these suitors and their lack of respect for the household. We also hear it from Telemachus, and his frustrations are not just with how they are treating Penelope's household, but how they are treating their memory of Odysseus. And it gnaws on him. This very much bothers Telemachus, so ultimately he has to leave to get away from it. And to go find his dad, because dadgummit, he's out there somewhere. All of this to say that all of these bad behaviors, ultimately this is the reason that we don't feel bad for the suitors. Their behavior has been so appalling throughout this book, and how we see their behavior toward Penelope, which always has the appearance of being respectful whenever she decides to come out. But we see how they behave when she's not around, and it's very clear that these are not good men. Okay, well, there it is. More amazing information that I'm sure you very much wanted to know. Have a good evening. Hopefully we will see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.